Hey guys, it's Robin. Guess what we're gonna do? Remember that beautiful yarn that we dyed? Here it is. I hanged it up. Isn't it pretty? Okay, I'm getting grief from people about not having put this into balls. So I got my Swift and I've got my winder and we're gonna ball it up and see what it looks like. So I'm gonna unhank it, and we're gonna put it on the Swift and we're going to see how it looks. See how it looks. Okay. This is definitely a smaller amount. Oops. Okay, hook that up and tighten it. Now, you gotta make sure these are straight. Make sure these are straight. Okay, now if you have not worked with putting yarn on, this is called an umbrella Swift, and when you've got yarn like this, it comes with these little ties, and you undo the ties, and one of the ties will have a beginning to the yarn, kind of like the end on your ball, and here it is. You can tell this is a bigger knot, so we're going to, whoops, just like that. And this piece is the outside, this piece is the inside. You can tell because it's kind of underneath there. So we're going to take this over. Now this was kind of an unusual dealio because my tabletop was too thick for me to hook my ball winder on. But you run it through this little eye, I think is what that's called, and then you hook it right there to the middle, and that's what creates your middle pull. And then it's got a handle, and you just kind of hold on to it for a sec until it gets started. Whoops, popped off. This is pretty thick yarn for here. Let's try it again. It is absolutely not participating. There we go. There we go. Okay, now it started. Now you just slowly turn it. I mean, not super slow, but a little bit slow. And then you kind of babysit this a little bit while you babysit that a little bit. And I have learned the hard way that if I go too fast, that the yarn will slip down and get tangled up under here. So I kind of am babysitting both ends of this. And that is all there is to winding up yarn onto a ball winder. Now this is my Stanwood ball winder. It's a good quality ball winder. So I don't know why I have problems with that popping down underneath it there. But I do. So I'm just careful to go slow and even. I think slow and even is the key to this. Normally I would have my ball winder set up lower than my Swift, but I don't have that option here. I think it's going pretty good. Well, this is pretty. This looks really pretty on that ball. That's going to be done in no time. In no time. So if you decide that you want to ball up regular, you can do this with any skein of yarn that you buy. And it's one way of dealing with knots that you might have in your yarn or anything like that. You can stop and take knots out of it, or if you've got yarn bark, anything like that, it helps deal with that. I'm almost done here, and you just go right to the end. And if I had a label, I would tuck the label inside of this. Of course, I don't have labels on this. So what I'm going to do, now you just take this, pull that thing out of the middle, and that becomes your center pole right there. And pull that out. And there we go. There's our center pull for our ball. And take those last couple little turns and just wrap it around here. And take our center pull and kind of tie it off together. And that keeps the whole thing from coming apart. And again, if I had a bring that over, stand behind that. Whoops, sorry. There we go. There's our beautiful ball of yarn. Isn't that pretty? I think that turned out very, very pretty. So this is the one that is definitely thicker. Doesn't smell bad anymore. Remember, this is the one that smelled really bad when we started. Okay, let's do that other one. As a rule, no, I think this is the one. Yeah, this is the one that smelled bad, and it does not smell bad anymore either. Now, as a rule, I would not wind up a ball of yarn until I was ready to use it. That's kind of a rule of thumb, because you don't want it to have any tension on it. And I think that's more important with natural fibers than it is if you're using acrylics and things like that. But I know some people will get their yarn and they'll immediately ball it up. But I know that that isn't really good for it. Loosen this, make this tighter. Okay, now we're going to find those bands. Here's one. I think this is the one with the ends, because it's, yeah, this is the one with the ends. So, I don't know if you can see, but it's got 4 all tied together there, so you can tell that that's more knotted, so you can tell that's where the ends on this thing's going to be. And there's my ends right there. Bits of yarn. It's holding this thing together. And here's one of the ends. And tangled up in there, and here's the other end. This one might be a bit of a mess. Okay. The other one, there's 3. Wow, even to get these out is pretty tangly. Okay, so there's 3. I think that's it. And then you go around, make sure everything is straight. You got to try to find the inside and the outside on this thing. About which one is which. That one seems very outsidey or insidey, but then so does this one. I don't know, man. They both seem very inside. This thing is really it's all twisted around. It's all twisted around this yarn. I don't know. I'm gonna try the other end. This one is all twisted around in here. The other side seemed like it was too. Oh my goodness. This is a mess. I don't know how on earth I could ever run this. Well, I'm sure glad the other ones I ran today weren't like this. Okay, wait a minute, wait a minute. Aha! I think I've got something. Okay, I'm gonna flip this around. I think we may have gotten somewhere. Wowza. Okay. Okay, let's give it a try. I don't know. Okay, put it through the eye here and hook it on and get it started. Every time I do this, it falls off. If somebody does this a lot and can give me some help on how to keep this on, because it seems like every time I do it, it falls off the starting spindle. It's going. Is it going? I feel like it's not going. I feel like I've got... Okay, I think we're going. I feel like I'm going to be fighting this the entire time. I'm going to be fighting this the entire time, which not only is it not going to be fun, it's going to mess up the tension on this. So we are going to pull some of this out, and we're going to do this. Okay, here we go. I think, again, this would have helped if we were lower. If we were lower than the... I'm going to do something else here in a second, too. So that might help keep that from tangling. Now remember, I tried to keep a big chunk of this, probably I wanted half of it to not die, because I had seen a really cool yarn where half of it was dyed and half of it wasn't, and then when they worked it up, it was this really cool design that automatically worked into the fabric of the yarn, but it didn't work because as I was laying there, as the yarn was sitting there and drying, it soaked up the dye from the non-dyed part, soaked up the dye from the dyed part. And so it kind of messed up my little design idea. Plus, the actual yarn itself was more yellow than, it was more creamy colored than white anyway, which I think already would have messed up what I was trying to do. Man, this thing is just giving me fits. It's rolling nicely. It's just not unrolling very nicely. It's a good thing most of them behave well. Well, I would not want to do this very often. And I'm sure this is a full 100-gram skein. And it is definitely fingering weight. You can definitely tell by the size of that yarn. Just to that one spot, and it's tangled every little bit around. And I know you don't want to go too fast, or then you're going to have other problems getting tangled up on itself. I know this saves a tremendous amount of time other than doing it by hand, but it sure doesn't seem like it when you're fighting with it like this. We are just about, oh, I'd say we're more than halfway done. You guys have ball winders? Do you do this at home? When you buy your hanks? Some of the times when I go to yarn stores, they've got these all set up for you, and you can just hank up your yarn when you buy it. I don't really have room here to do that. I'd have to have a better setup. You can't just leave it out. I'm going to have to figure something out at some point. Because I do have to have the ability here to do that. Oh, now what have I done? Now what have I done? I'll tell you what, I've never had a ball of yarn give me this much trouble. I hope this is not a precursor to what it's going to be like working with this. I had a really good time dyeing this yarn. It makes me want to learn more about actually dyeing yarn, because this was just kind of a one-off fun little thing that we did. I feel like it wasn't really dyeing yarn. My Lord, what a mess. Well, this is as bad as having yarn bark in a ball. Oh, for heaven's sakes. I don't even know if I can get this undone. Can you see this? It looks like one of those cat's cradle things. Remember when we used to do that with string? That's exactly what this thing looks like. And it's going every which way. Okay, well, I'm going to pause this, get it figured out, and then we'll be back. Well, that took almost an hour to untangle that mess and roll it up into this ball. What a nightmare. Talk about yarn bark. Oh, that was terrible. So we are going to finish rolling up this tiny, tiny, tiny little bit of a ball here. See if we can do it without dropping it, because that's my next problem, not dropping it onto the floor. It was a disaster, an absolute disaster. It was one big fat, well, I knew that was going to happen, one big fat tangled mess. And I have no idea why it was like that. I have done many, many, many hanks of yarn and never one, I mean, I'd had a little bit of a tangle, but nothing like that. I have no idea why it was like that. We are just going to finish this up here. And we are going to call it good. Oh, that was horrid. Absolutely horrid. But here we are done. An hour's worth of work for what, a minute and a half of doing this. Oh, get it off of there, get it off there. Okay, there's our center pole, there's our outside. Isn't that beautiful? Really, really pretty. I'm loving all of the bits of purple on here. I can't wait to work this up and see how that works up. That's going to be so nice. Super nice. So anyway, this is what we ended up with. This is what our two skeins. Let me get over here and move closer. I'm clear across the table from you. See if I can do this without kicking everything over. All right. So this is what our two skeins of yarn ended up. Isn't that pretty? Yeah, very, very pretty. I'm very pleased with it. I had a good time. It was fun to do. And again, we used the tie-dye kit for this. So this was tie-dye. I am interested in doing more yarn. Interested in dyeing up more yarn. So we'll see. All right. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Please like, please subscribe, and we'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.